Hello, this is Wayne Kurtz for a tip of the day for those of you who are considering the DECA, or more importantly, for those of you who are considering any type of long multi-day race. The one key aspect of a race for many of these is crewing. And I learned some pretty good lessons over the years from my crew and my super crew team of things that you might make your crew aware of or even try as you go into the race season. The first is don't baby the athlete. I think this is a personal story that I can kind of share with you of what happened in Monterrey, Mexico, I think for the first DECA that I did. And maybe it'll shed some light on a simple thing that you can implement into your plan going forward to get you to the finish line. It could be an Ultraman race, multi-day race, RAM race, DECA, whatever it is. Those races, it is helpful to have crews. Of course, there are plenty that do it without the crew, but it becomes challenging, no question, without having someone to hand out the food and the water and those things. When I mentioned don't baby the athlete, this came from my super crew, Rick Freeman. And of course, my wife, Jan, got a little bit better in this over the years. But many times, you might experience the same thing. You're feeling tired, you're miserable, mentally not in it. You're clearly not eating enough. And I know this was the case for mine in, I think, the first decade. I wasn't eating enough. And you're riding around these circles day after day. And this was in the classic DECA. And I'll never forget the heat. And we were in Monterrey, and the sun was coming right about here, right where this bald spot is for me. Got the helmet on, had the sunglasses on. I didn't have a hat at the time, and it just kept coming at you, and it almost puts you to sleep. And I think those of you who've ridden a lot, you've experienced this. A great crew will force you not to stop, and they will tell you to eat. They won't ask you the questions, but they will force feed you. I think it's the biggest lesson that Rick gave to me, and also my good friend Stefan Zetterstrom, when we were over in Italy, he was crewing for me, and I remember vividly he would say, "You got to do 4 more laps before you're getting any ice cream." And then they lie to you. Lying is a great thing when you're crewing for someone. Rick used to say to me as well. I remember one time we were in Sicily doing the DECA, and it's hailing and raining unbelievably, and Rick was holding the mat down, the timing mat that we went through on the bike course. And it was so bad, you were laughing yourself. I mean, and the hail's hitting and everything else. But he would continue to lie to me and play games. Just get through 5 more laps. You can stop. It's break time. It's either ice cream and or pizza or whatever else. Just get through 5. Well, he would say that again and again. And when the brain isn't thinking, it forces you to keep going. It works. Trust me. It absolutely works. And I would highly recommend you tell your crew that. Don't baby the athlete, because if you over baby, and this comes from spouses, my wife used to do this, over baby, it's too comfortable to sit down, and then you never ask the question of what would you like to eat. No, it's just have them force feed you. You're going to eat this. And I remember Rick and Jan many times would say, there was things I don't like, and they would say, you're going to eat it. There's no other option. You got to eat it. Because if you become too dependent on the crew, and we've seen this time and again, and it will happen. If you miss the crew, they're taking a sleep nap. It's exhausting crewing, and they miss a lap. You'll be okay. In most cases, you'll be fine. You're not going to die. Even in the evenings when they're doing a long sleep, you have to be somewhat self-sufficient. It was one of the biggest learning lessons from Trans Am that I'd like to share with all of you. Doing the Trans Am, which was all self-supported, any athlete who's ever done that or self-supported, it is brutal. All right, it is very, very difficult trying to manage all those things. But I think there's a benefit of being able to do things on your own, because when crew's not there and stuff goes awry, at least you know how to handle it. I know it's common sense, but we've seen it time and time again, especially in the DECA, when counting on the crew for every single thing and babying them becomes a major problem. So if you're interested, I've got a section in the book. I've got Rick actually put together his components of crewing. He's crewed for 25 years and raced all over the place in ultra racing for more than 35 years. So he's got some good tips. I've also used the tips I've learned from others in crewing. But in the DECA, specifically in the book, I've got a section on it, a chapter, and take a look at it. If you are interested, go to the wayne-kurtz.com website. I'll eventually get a landing page up, but just sign on to register for the book updates. The goal is, I'm hoping we're still going to be on pace right now. The publisher's saying we should have it wrapped up in May, but I think you'll get a kick out of the crewing section. Plenty of funny stories in crewing, but most importantly, don't baby your athlete if you're a crew. Enjoy the day.